YouTube is my happy place. I spend more time on YouTube than any other social media platform because I'm always on here talking about, or I'm actually always on here um, watching a lot of speakers and a lot of motivational things. Before I go to bed every night, I always say, in the morning, I'll know what to do. And yesterday, I was like really, really sleepy. And so I had plans to do all of this work. And then when I got home, I was like, and I ate, and I was like, oh my God, I really just need to go to sleep. And so I did. And last night, I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on this thing, this one thing. I'm finishing up this writing project that I have. And I was like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to commit to working on this project. And then when I woke up this morning, I was like, I need a little bit more time because there's some things that I need to focus myself on a little bit more. And that thing is myself. Um, I think that we go through these changes where we are trying to figure out like where we fit in terms of our own purpose and like how do you go about finding your purpose. And it really is just really following your heart. And so all of the many ideas and brands and stuff that I have, what was and is at the core of those brands is self identity and aligning ourselves with who we are. And if we don't know who we are, then how do we get to know who we are on a soul level? And so my first love really is metaphysics. Um, Again, it's hard to really say like, okay, this thing is metaphysics, and we tend to put labels on things as humans, but metaphysics is basically the study of you, the study of yourself and everything about you. And I've always been very interested in knowing as much about myself as possible. And I think it's important because self development is the one training that you will need throughout your entire life to be interested in you and interested in what you stand for, interested in what your purpose is, interested in what it is that you have going on. So for me, it's important for me that I focus on self development. And if others are interested in doing the same, then I can help guide them on that journey from what I understand and know about the journey. And so I titled this, I Just Want to Teach. At the end of the day, that's what I like to do. I like to talk and teach people, whether through writing or through speaking, and even through film. My whole goal is just around enlightenment and teaching myself as I go through my own enlightenment journey. Then, how can I demonstrate this in a way that others who are interested in their own enlightenment journey can get there? And again, self-development is a ever evolving, ever growing process. What you liked yesterday, you might not like today, and that's okay. Being able to weed out and cross off the list of, hey Miranda, how are you? Man, I feel like we just talked last week, but so much of my life has already changed again. um, well, I was really talking about just how I want to teach, and through writing books, speaking, and like I said, film as well too, because I think that that's another way to reach people is through our senses, visual, hearing, Um, but I was really just speaking about the path of self-development. I had gave my son this small book. It's called It Works, and it's super small. It's like 25 pages. And not only that, but it's literally probably like that big. And I was gonna let him stay home from school today because all the school districts were closed today except for our school district because of the wind chill. So at first I let him stay home, but I told him, "But if you stay home, then you have to be here working on self-development today." And so he kind of was like, why I want to do, I don't want to work on myself. And I told him, oh, well, you got to go to school. And then when you get home, I still expect for you to read that book. And I told him in the car that self development is the only important thing in life. You know, it's about who you are, how you are evolving, aligning with your purpose, strengthening your mind, learning how to attract the things that you want into your life. You know, I had wrote a post on Twitter today about insecurity, and I'm gonna read it verbatim. But I said, mental insecurity breeds financial insecurity. What happens in the mental manifests itself on the physical. Releasing your fears and gaining confidence increases security. Know your talents and skills. Be sure about yourself and your abilities. You'll then see the payoff. In the schools and how the schools are structured, they don't teach you anything about yourself at all. They don't teach you anything about how you think. You have to go and search and find. It's like certain things have to happen to your in your life to where you get to a point where you're like, hey, I want to know more about this thing, or how can I live my best life? And it's not until then you start to do research on your own, and you come across different references and self-help books and stuff. But books like the Master Key System, or Florence Scovel Shinn, and many, many, many others. Napoleon Hill. What's another one I was just watching? Um, I was just watching something on Neville Goddard. I follow a lot of his stuff. He wrote a bunch of books. Um, I think it's I want to say James Allen, but that wasn't who I was thinking of. Abraham Hicks that wrote Ask and Receive, or I can't remember the exact title. Eckhart Tolle, right? So, my son said, I'll learn about self-development when I become an adult. And I was like, well, this is actually the age and stage that would best benefit you, because as a younger person, you still have elements of yourself that are untouched and uninfluenced by the world. You still are more in tune with your intuition than an older person is. And so from the beginning, from kindergarten, you know, basically when our children are young, they should be going to schools that teach them how to remain in connection with their intuition. It's not until we start to experience society that we then gain these insecurities. Like, we come here very secure and very sure about who we are. That's why babies, they start crawling on their own, and they start taking steps on their own to start walking, because they're sure that they can do it, or they're sure that they will figure it out even if they don't know how to do it at the beginning. And so we lose that as we grow, because society then tries to mold and shape us into being a good little boy or good little girl, what we see every day. And yesterday I was at I went to go get my hair braided finally, and I was at the shop, and it was one of the braiders, two of her children was there. She had a baby, and then she had a little boy who was like 5. And when he came in from school, he was like, I want that phone. I want the phone." And she was like, "You just got here and you already talking about the phone, you're not getting the phone." She told him to go sit down, and he went to go sit down in a chair, and then he was like, "I still want the phone." And I was observing this child who was making demands about what he wanted. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go over here and sit down, but I still want the phone." you know? And so that's very interesting because children, they make demands on the universe. They have a way with the universe that what it is or whatever it is that they want, they will make a demand and allow that thing to come to them. And so he said this to her 4 or 5 times. Now we might be thinking like, okay, well, she eventually gave in and gave him the phone, but she didn't. She took him all the way in the back and she spanked him, is what she did because he kept asking her. And that is an example of how society conditions us to not ask for what we want. And so we become people pleasers because then we become afraid to ask for what we want out of fear that we won't get it or someone won't approve of our asking. And that starts to develop mental insecurity in our mind. So we start to overthink about the things that we want instead of just asking for those things. And even if we're told no, there's a million other doors of opportunity that are awaiting for that thing to come into fruition. Now, the baby, who was a little baby, every time the baby started crying, the baby got what it wanted. So she started crying, she got a bottle. She started crying, she got the pacifier. She started crying, she got her diaper changed. She started crying, she got picked up. So this is an example of what I mean, that babies and children are the closest to the spirit world because they haven't long left it. So they are intuitively, we all are intuitively built to ask for what we want. The only mode of communication that a baby has is to cry. But when that baby cries, that baby gets what it wants. And so the little boy, he was crying for the phone, but he got a spanking. No one would dare spank a little baby though. No one would dare spank a little baby like, "Oh, why you crying? I'll get around to changing your diaper and feeding you when I feel like it." And so this child then was reprimanded for asking for what he wanted. And again, that's how we start to develop insecurity around the things that we want. And so, because we then live in this fear of going after what it is that we want and asking for what we want, then that starts to breed financial insecurity because if you are insecure on a mental level and once you have it in your mind that you can't do this or this won't work out or whatever insecurities that's around that mode of thinking, then from a feelings perspective you start to feel that on an emotional level. So on an emotional level you start to feel hopeless and you start to feel helpless. You start to feel like you can't do this thing or there's no one there to help you or there's no other options, and so you start to not feel good, and then that manifests physically on a physical level. So then you would then struggle on a financial level. So you have to find ways to increase your security at a mental level. On a mental level, that means having confidence, having courage, being sure about your talents, your skills, and your abilities, being in the know that you know how to do this, that this thing, and if you don't know how to do it, then you are very capable of figuring out how to do it. But just having security of knowing that you gonna work it out or you gonna make it happen no matter what, right? Like you gonna do what you gonna get to it by any means necessary. It's gonna work out. And so when you have that confidence in your mind, absent of self-doubt, absence of criticism, then you will breed that on a physical level because confidence in the mind then makes you feel invincible. It makes you feel like you can do anything. It makes you feel like you can accomplish whatever you set your mind to. It makes you feel like you got the King Midas touch. Everything that you touch turns to gold. So you don't have that fear present within your heart or within your emotional body. And so then you can physically manifest the things that you claim that you want to manifest. So I was sitting here and I was about to start working on some stuff and then it just came over me and I was like, "No, I want to talk." so so since I want to talk, I go to YouTube and talk. Sometimes I go to Instagram. Instagram is more like a kind of an evening thing, but you know, it doesn't matter. I think for me, I like to speak and I like to talk and I like to, say things and um, make people think. But simultaneously, as I'm learning, I'm teaching too. You know, I think that the knowledge that I have, I want to impart it and I try to stay away from saying like metaphysics because who knows that word? It doesn't even matter what that word is or what that word means. It just means um, getting to know you. So, even the brand, the thumbnail that I put up for this is called University. And it's a concept that I had a long time ago. But the reality for me is just that I think that the you is the most important thing. And if I'm to assist anybody in this lifetime, it is to assist them in working on them and themselves. And I think everything else spans from that. So, I have a business called Bib because I'm busy, and that's working with entrepreneurs. And in order to become a entrepreneur or a successful entrepreneur, there is an element it's about you. It's about you and your mindset. Do you believe in this business? Do you believe in this idea? Do you believe in the success of this? And so there's a lot of work that you have to do on you in order to reach those goals and that level of success that you say that you want to reach. I have another initiative called War, Women Are Revolutionary, and that is around inspiration for women and women coming to the realization that we are the first teachers of humanity. And so what I do with that platform is teach and coach women because those are the people who need the information first because then they can relay that information to their children, to their mates, and really to the people around them. But both initiatives, Bib and War, both fall under university because both of those things have everything to do with you and knowledge yourself and being very clear about what it is that you want to do and who you are and how do you develop the mindset needed to create the life that you want. So that's my talk of the day. I might be back later, but that's it for now. So thanks for tuning in.